I'm Michael Taylor Gray.
And I'm Marlena Bond.
With NewsWrap, a summary of some of the news in or affecting LGBTQ communities around the world for the week ending February 15th, 2020. Croatia's Constitutional Court acted swiftly to resolve the denial of a gay couple's application to be foster parents. High Court President Miroslav Seprovic explained that the year-old foster care law, specifically excluding queer couples, produces generally discriminatory effects on those couples. According to Seprovic, the court has ordered the courts to directly apply the Constitution and not to discriminate against persons in same-sex communities. The late January ruling was published on February 7th. The Zagreb Administrative Court had ruled in December that prospective gay dads Ivo Zigota and Mladen Kozik had the right to be foster parents. They passed all the qualifying hurdles with flying colors, including psychological evaluations. But the city's social welfare center called the administrative court's ruling just an opinion. The Constitutional Court is Croatia's highest court, so it gets the last word. Its ruling applies to couples living in informal and legal same-gender life partnerships. Conservative voices in the heavily Roman Catholic country claimed it is harmful to children, but Rainbow Families Croatia applauded the decision. To them, it's a historic moment in the Balkan nation for qualified same-gender couples to finally have the right to be foster parents on equal terms.
We briefly reported last week on Switzerland's February 9th anti-queer hate speech and discrimination referendum. In the final tally, more than 63% of Swiss voters were in favor of giving gays and lesbians the same protections in law already afforded to people based on race or religion. Coca-Cola bought front-page ads in all the major Swiss newspapers urging a yes vote, and took some right-wing heat for it. The tabloid Blick called the referendum result a bad day for intolerant people. The right-wing Swiss People's Party is the biggest single voting bloc in parliament. They said the vote would silence unwelcome opinions and voices.
Switzerland is one of Europe's few holdouts on marriage equality. A bill to open civil marriage to same-gender couples is currently working its way through Parliament. Access to medically assisted procreation for those couples is a more contentious issue, probably to be left for another time. The country's leading queer advocacy group, Pink Cross, commissioned a survey the day after the anti-bias vote. In it, 4 in 5 Swiss supported marriage equality. The group's director, Roman Hegley, said that Parliament now needs to take a step forward.
Stepping forward is not what Russia's Vladimir Putin has in mind. During a meeting this week with the Commission reviewing changes to Russia's constitution, Putin said that, as far as parent number 1 and parent number 2 goes, I've already spoken publicly about this, and I'll repeat it again. As long as I'm president, this will not happen. That could be a long time. The Commission is seen as part of Putin's efforts to maintain power even after his scheduled departure from the presidency in 2024. He's been able to maintain that power as either president or prime minister since 1999, thanks in part to an informal alliance with Russia's Orthodox Church. They both reject so-called Western values, including acceptance of divergent sexual orientations and gender fluidity. Both supported the law against promoting so-called gay propaganda to minors in 2013. During the Commission meeting this week, Putin also expressed support for enshrining heterosexual-only marriage in the constitutional revisions currently being considered.
Former British Prime Minister David Cameron recalled an icy exchange on LGBTQ rights when Putin told him that Russia's problem was a declining population, and he needed men to marry women and have lots of children. Putin has also all but ignored the continuing genocidal persecution of queer people in the semi-autonomous, mostly Muslim Russian region of Chechnya. This week, St. Petersburg police cited that the law against promoting gay propaganda to minors when they shut down a video shoot. It was for a song called Rage, featuring dozens of mostly female and LGBTQ people backing the defiantly feminist pro-queer Russia punk band Pussy Riot.
The political party of openly gay Prime Minister Leo Varadkar placed a disappointing third in national elections this week. His tenure is likely over. Varadkar's center-right Fine Party fell behind rival center-right party Fianna Fáil and the left-wing Sinn Féin. Polls show that voters were disappointed in the current government's progress on health and housing issues. The more progressive voices in Ireland's LGBTQ community criticized Varadkar for not doing more to advance queer rights. but he was defended by his partner, Matthew Barrett. Barrett said, "I'm disappointed in the country, not disappointed for Leo. I know he did a great job." Ireland's first lesbian cabinet minister blames a hate-filled social media campaign for the expected loss of her seat, according to Pink News. Catherine Zappone famously proposed to her partner Anne Louise Gilligan on live television in 2015 following the successful marriage equality referendum. Gilligan died 2 years later after a brief illness. Green Party candidate Roderick O'Gorman celebrated his election victory in Dublin with a widely televised kiss with his partner, Ray Healy.
4 men are under arrest in connection with the murder of Northern Ireland's crusading lesbian journalist, Ira McKee. The 29-year-old was shot to death while covering anti-government riots in Londonderry in April 2019. The new IRA soon took responsibility, but claimed that their guns were aimed at police officers and that McKee was shot accidentally. One of the men detained under the Terrorism Act this week is 52-year-old Paul McIntyre from Derry. He's been charged with murder, possession of a firearm, and membership in the banned Irish Republican Army. The BBC reported a scuffle outside the courtroom between more than 40 police officers and protesters, with placards calling McIntyre a political hostage and a British scapegoat. McIntyre's next court appearance is scheduled for February 27th. McKee had just signed a book deal and was planning to propose to her girlfriend, Sarah Canning, at the time of her death, but she never lived to see marriage equality come to Northern Ireland. A number of prominent British and Irish politicians joined hundreds of mourners at her funeral. A mural dedicated to her was painted in Belfast.
8 men were sentenced to 2 years in prison this week in Mauritania for indecency and inciting debauchery. Police officials originally claimed that they had found the men imitating women at an illegal gay wedding posted on social media. Police Commissioner Mohamed Ould Najib said the detainees were charged with acts contrary to morality, committing acts forbidden by Allah, and circulating a ceremony of debauchery. The defendants had all pleaded not guilty. Human Rights Watch's Graham Reed said the convictions made singing and dancing at a birthday party a crime. 2 other men caught up in the raid were acquitted, and a woman who was also at the party received a suspended 1-year sentence. 2 years in prison is not as bad as it could have been. Mauritania is one of 11 countries that execute people convicted of illicit sex. Convictions in the Northwest African nation call for death by stoning, though no such executions are known to have taken place.
A worrisome bill that would have criminalized South Dakota transgender teens and their healthcare professionals is dead, at least for this legislative session. The Republican-controlled state Senate killed the measure this week the House passed in late January. A Senate committee defeated it by a 5-2 vote. The proposal would have sent doctors to prison for providing hormone treatment or puberty blockers to minors. It would also have punished medical professionals for participating in a minor's gender affirmation surgery, an operation that's not usually performed on minors anyway. Any celebrations over South Dakota were quashed the following day, however. 2 Republican lawmakers in Ohio announced that they were introducing similar legislation.
Finally, the Lone Star State is suing the Golden State. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton asked the U.S. Supreme Court this week to overturn a 2017 California law that bans government-funded travel to states with discriminatory anti-queer laws. Texas is one of 11 such states, and Paxton himself is notoriously homophobic. The targeted state of Oklahoma retaliated last month with its own ban on state-paid travel to California. A statement from the Office of California Attorney General Javier Becerra said only that they were reviewing the legal filing. Ricardo Martinez of Equality Texas said that Paxton has used religious liberty to justify a number of attacks on LGBTQ rights. He told the Texas Tribune, "States that pass discriminatory legislation face economic consequences. The California travel ban is one example." Equality California's Samuel Garrett Pate said that other state officials don't have the prerogative to tell Californians how to spend our money.
That's NewsWrap, global queer news with attitude, for the week ending February 15th, 2020. Follow the news in your area and around the world. An informed community is a strong community.
NewsWrap is written by Greg Gordon, edited by Lucia Chappelle, produced by Brian DeShazor, recorded at the studios of KPFK Los Angeles, and brought to you by you.
Help keep us in ears around the world at thiswayout.org, where you can also read the text of this newscast and much more.
And you can listen to NewsWrap each week by subscribing to our This Way Out radio YouTube channel. For This Way Out, I'm Marlena Bond.
And I'm Michael Taylor Gray.